Hi, my name is Turchinetz, but I usually just go by Turch. I'm the lead software developer for plugins here at CycleLabs. Do you know what a plugin is? A plugin is a service that provides new CycleScript steps through an API. The plugin contains all of the code to perform the interactions and provide Cycle with the steps to describe the behavior. Consider the Game Boy. There is an engine, this box here, whose hardware stays consistent. You can turn it on and it doesn't do much. However, you're able to plug in cartridges into it that offer different software to the engine. The buttons you press don't change, but the on-screen actions do. Our plugins work in the same way. You can plug in new steps and behaviors into Cycle, but you're still just using a computer. By using our tools, you can create your own steps and implement custom behaviors that you would like Cycle to perform. The key is that they exist independently from the engine. We've done a ton of work here at Cycle to provide steps that our customers need for Blue Yonder and web automation. But testing is tricky, and sometimes you just need a custom step. Maybe your workflow involves a calculation. Perhaps you just need to read a value from a web page, multiply it, and verify that the on-screen result is correct. The steps that Cycle provides could be contorted into doing that, but it might just be easier to write your own step. You also might just want to turn a few simple steps that you run together into one step for clarity. If you want to log into a web page, rather than typing out each step for when I click the element, and I type the username, and I click the element, and I type the password, then I click the login button, and I wait until the element is... Or you can just create one custom step that does all of that, and just type, given I log in as user at the start of your scenarios. That's much easier to read, and it starts to actually model the behavior of your application. There are a few skills you'll need. Fundamentally, you'll need basic object-oriented programming skills. Gherkin is important for creating step definitions, and some knowledge on web frameworks and making API calls can be helpful. Tools like Git and VS Code will also make development easier. Currently, our only SDK language is Java, but let us know if there's a language that you would like an SDK for. We have a publicly available project that we encourage you to download and play around with, and you could try adding a new step to that before creating an entirely new plugin. Most importantly, you need an idea. Twinkle in your eye of some behavior that you'd like to automate. And if you don't have any yet, that's okay too. Keep on the lookout and you'll be surprised what you might notice.
Okay, so to get started, let's make a new plugin project through VS Code. First things first, let's check our extensions. Let's search for Cycle, find the Cycle testing extension, and verify that it is installed and it is enabled. With that done, we can go to the command bar up here and type plugin. We'll see there is a Cycle-specific command for creating a new plugin project. Let's click it. Pick a name. Again, probably the hardest part. I'm going to make a random number generator. For the package name, something else. I'll just call it Turch. Oh, I guess that's not valid. Hey, cool. Random it is. From there, pick a directory to put the project in. I'll put it in my Documents Plugins project directory. Selected. It's been created. Let's open it in VS Code. Sure. And there it is. We have ourselves a project. Okay, now that we have a project in place, we can go into the folder and find the steps.yaml file. This is where we're going to define all of our steps. So, first things first, we're going to have an ID for this step. Let's have this step generate a random number and assign it to a Cycle variable. So, the ID is what's used inside the actual plugin here. So let's just call it generate a random number. Then we need a description for it. How about generates a random number and assigns it to a Cycle variable. This one's important. The next one is having step. Wow. Text. Step text is the actual words that are used inside the cycle engine or in a feature file. All right, so this is what you'd be typing out. I generate a random number and assign it to variable, and then this curly brackets are for a variable name. Variable name. Then an example of said step text might be I generate a random number and assign it to variable. How about we call it, I don't want to call it my variable. It's a variable random number. Okay. So, because we want to use that variable elsewhere, we need to define as part of this step an output variable. And that is within brackets here, within quotes, and then within curly braces. Got to get one of each here. The variable name. So that's the simple setup for a step. We did, however, use this variable name here, so we're going to have to define it in a section called parameters. We're going to define the variable name. So parameters, name, variable name. This particular variable is going to have to be a string, right? It's variables have a type. The type here is string. The other accepted type would be a number, right? 1, 2, 3, etc. But if you wanted to get really creative with it, you could use this enum section down here to define your own type. But you have to get a bit more technical with how you pull it up later. Let's give this a description. Let's give this a decryption. The description should be the cycle variable name. Beautiful. And there's a step. Now that we have our step defined here in the steps.yaml, the next thing we're going to want to do is go to the steps folder here and create a new file. Let's call it generate random number step.java. Beautiful. So let's go back to the step and let's grab this ID here. This is how we're going to link it to the steps.yaml. First things first, we're going to go at step identifier, and we're going to drop in that ID there. This tells the SDK that this is the step and to link them together. Also, we're going to add this component identifier. Does the same kind of thing. Not going to worry about that yet. Public class also implements step definition. This is coming directly from the SDK as well. To make it easier for ourselves, let's just import that step definition from CycleLab step plugin.service. And same thing here. Let's import step identifier from that as well. Okay, we've got another error here. Let's check the quick fix. Add unimplemented methods. Essentially, all that's happening here is that we are creating a step response in this class that is a call. This call is the method that the engine is calling under the hood to do the execution of this code. It comes in with the sweet context, known as the sweet context, the scenario context, known as scenario context, and the step inputs. That's the inputs. That would be what we entered here as the variable name. Okay, so we can erase this auto-generated stuff and get to work at implementing this code. So it generates a random number and assigns it to a cycle variable. Let's generate a random number. Java has a class for randomness. Let's add it here. Rand generator. Let's just give it the full name. Random generator equals new random. So this is just an object that will give us a random number. So now we can have integer number. This is the number that we're going to give back to the engine. Equals random generator dot next int. This is just going to return the next int as a random number. Okay, so that's done. However, we still have to get that saved off as a variable. So let's try to get this from inputs. String variable name. That's the variable that we're going to give back to the engine. Let's call inputs. Again, that's the step inputs class here. Inputs dot, it's going to be get parameter as string. All right, so we're going to get whatever this was, and we want it to get the variable name parameter. All right, so it's basically going to go query the step that we put in, like this example here, and say, oh, random number. There it is. In this case, though, we're looking for the variable name. So that variable name that we want to save the number to is being received here. Okay, so what's wrong with it? Why is it upset? We need to return a result of type step response. Well, okay, let's make ourselves a new step response. Return new step response. Step response needs to have a status to tell the engine how things went. In this example, our execution status could be fail or pass. I think this worked. We'll call it good. We're going to put the variables item with the variable name into variable name. Unfortunate naming convention here, but if we hover over it, it puts the variable into the object. So take this variable name, and we're going to put it into number. Let me make sure. Yes, it's putting the object variables item into the string key. So number here is going to go into variable name. Shame on me for not picking a different name. And a message. Let's let the user know how it went. Assigned the random number, and let's do this. Assign the random number plus number plus 2 variable name. Not with the semicolon there. Beautiful. Okay, so to walk through it again, we have a step identifier. This is linking it back to the step we've defined here. We have a component. This helps it generate for the engine. We already had that class generate random number step, but it needs to implement the step definition. The step definition gave us that code for this call function here that has to be implemented. We created using the Java class for random, a random number generator. We used that random number generator to create a new integer to give to this number. Then we received the variable name that we want to use as a parameter, as string, from the inputs variable here, that step inputs. This string variable name we then used in the step response, which we have to have for the call function. We gave it a status of passing because it looks good. We're going to put the variable item of this number into that variable name, right? My variable, what have you. And then gave a message back to the user that this random number was set to this variable. Okay, now that we have this step all done, let's quick make sure that it still compiles. Building, look at that. Next, we can run Maven package. That'll take the code that we've built and it'll package it into this jar file here. Right there. In order to get this jar into Cycle, we have to package a few things together. So let's make a new folder in here called Random Plugin. Inside this folder, you need to include that steps.yaml. Put that in there. This settings file that was generated earlier. And then we have to grab this step plugin random jar that we generated just now and put that in there as well. So if you look at the settings file, it has the name of the plugin that Cycle is going to use, the version of this plugin, as well as startup information. Most important thing here is the file name. Step plugin random.jar, which this does not match because it has the version number appended to it. Let's just rename it really quick. So they match. All right. So this folder here is what we need for our plugins. So to actually go about and do that, let's take this random plugin folder here with those 3 files, and we can go to our C drive, program files. Let's go to Cycle Labs, Cycle. The plugins folder here is where you're going to be dropping in your plugins. Be able to copy this, and yeah, I'm an admin. Paste it in, random plugin, right in there. Okay, now with our plugin plugged in, let's go make a new feature. Feature my file, scenario, test. Given, what was the step? It was I generate a random number and assign it to variable name. There it is. You can see right here the parameters that we gave load in, that example text, the description text, the example here. Look at that, it all loaded in. We can also go and check inside the step guide. If we were to search for random, you can see here, boom, I generate a random number and assign it to variable name. All the information we put in earlier, and you can see the ID for this comes from Cycle, from our random package, generate random number. So there it is. I encourage you to look through the step guide and see what you can find. All right, let's name this variable test var. Given I generate a random number and assign it to variable test var. How about then I verify variable var is there test var is assigned. So now that's been set, and then how about I verify number, let's say, yeah, I verify number, whatever this is equal to 1. So we don't expect this to work, right? We just expect this to not be equal to 1. I suppose there is an extremely small chance this test passes, but who knows? Let's see it live. Run it once, execute, generates. Look at that. Confirmed, negative 16089628873 is not equal to 1. Very true. We can see it ran the function for generating, verified it was assigned, and verified that that is not equal to 1. To make sure it's truly random, let's try it again. This one's positive. What a swing. There you have it. We have a generated random number. We're able to use it inside of a feature file.
It's pretty cool stuff. I love getting to work on designing plugins and encouraging people to experiment with their wacky ideas. Plugins allow us to deliver new steps and hotfixes without needing to release a new version of the whole Cycle app. Plugins allow you to make Cycle truly extensible. Our goal here at Cycle Labs is that your creativity is the limit of your capabilities. For anything that I haven't covered here already, you can find more information in the user manual. If there's anything else you'd like to know about or come across an issue, please reach out to us. Until then, I'm excited to hear about how you've used plugins to make Cycle a truly extensible testing platform for your business.